All right, we are back for video lesson number 2 on anxiety disorders. And before we start, I need to make an edit, a verbal edit, I suppose. At the end of the last video lesson, I said $6.8 million, and I did not need to say dollars, so I apologize for that. It was 6.8 million Americans. It's just a statistic. It's not a money statistic. So the dollar didn't need to be in what I had said. So I apologize for that. Okay, so here we go with the second part of anxiety disorders, and we are going to first talk about phobias. So the definition of phobias or a phobic disorder, it's when a severe anxiety is specifically focused on a particular subject that seems out of proportion to the real dangers involved. So I think you're going to be beginning to see a thread with the definitions of these anxiety disorders. In that, the fear, the anxiety, it is disproportionate to what is actually causing the person to feel that way. Okay, so phobias are focused on something very specific. A person is afraid of, well, a phobia can be about anything, and it is focused on one specific thing. Okay, so here we go. Examples. Specific phobia can be focused on anything like high places. Maybe some people are afraid of spiders. My sister's afraid of clowns, the darkness, cats, chickens. The list, it goes on and on and on. In fact, we could do a Google search right now and find lists of phobias. Yeah, they actually exist. If you've ever looked at one before, great. If you haven't, I do want to show you just briefly that you can literally type in phobia list, and while all of these may not be the most reliable, it can give you an idea of how many phobias there actually are. So a lot of these phobia lists are in alphabetical order, so they're kind of easy to find if you are looking something up. All right, continuing on. Now, there are specific phobias. It can be placed on almost anything, that fear. And then there's another category of phobia, and that is a social phobia. So people that experience social phobias, they have an intense, persistent fear of being watched or judged by others. They have this idea of the everybody's looking at me phenomenon. Now, some of us might have gone through that when we were preteens. Maybe you even experience it right now. Somebody who has a social phobia, they feel like every single eye that is in their environment is placed on them, and those eyes are connected to a brain that is judging them, and that judgment is always negative. So this is something that is going on inside somebody's head that is experiencing a social phobia. Okay, so people that have phobias, they develop elaborate plans to get out of the situations that they're afraid of. So let's say that somebody has to give a presentation in front of a group of people. They will not go to school that day, they won't go to work, they won't do that thing that they're afraid of, even if it's going to cost them a significant portion of their grade, even if they might get fired from their job, they will not do that thing, even if kind of life depends on it, sort of thing. Okay? Now, physical symptoms, how does it manifest inside of their body or on the outside of their body? They might blush, they might sweat really badly, they could shake or tremble, they might feel nauseous, they might not be able to talk. Okay, so this fear, it envelopes them and they literally cannot function. All right, so here is a graphic that demonstrates some of those physical symptoms. I'm going to go on, but you can definitely pause the video lesson to take a closer look. Okay, now phobias do range from mild to severe. Okay, so I mentioned before, and I kind of teased a little bit, that my sister is afraid of clowns. Now, she really, really, really hates clowns, okay? Sometimes we like to tease her about it and show her a picture of a clown just to see what her reaction is. Now, it's never a great reaction. She sometimes gets mad that we show her a picture of a clown, and we don't do this all the time, but we have in the past. So I would say that she most likely would be diagnosed with a mild phobia because she can get on with the rest of her day. It doesn't really impact anything but that moment in her life, right? She still takes her kids to carnivals, circuses, birthday parties with clowns. Now, when she throws her own children a birthday party, there's no clowns there, but if there happens to be a clown in the public environment that she's at, she just won't talk to the clown, shake its hand, whatever. She'll just avoid it. Somebody with a severe phobia of clowns, they would be out of there in a minute, and it might take them quite a while to settle down from that fear that would manifest itself when they had this encounter with the clown, whether it be close or far away. Okay, so phobias are learned and maintained by reinforcing effects of avoidance. What does that mean? Well, they continue to have the phobia because they avoid what causes them to feel that way. So that's why it's reinforcing. Every time they avoid that situation that they're afraid of, they are reinforcing those feelings of fear. They're reinforcing their phobia. Okay, so how do you treat phobias? Well, you place that person in the condition that they're afraid of. I'm going to give you a rundown here in a second. So you have to face your fears. In order to get over a phobia, you do have to face what is causing you to be afraid. Okay. Um, Fancy word, psychotherapy. Okay. Psychotherapists will often use cognitive therapy that helps the person face these conditions. So it says that they talk with a trained mental health professional to discover what caused that fear and then how to deal with it. Okay? So here we go. How do you face your fear without like diving into a pit of clowns, for example? Now, the situation that I have is somebody being afraid of dogs, okay? We're going to keep it really simple here. So somebody who's afraid of dogs will not want to think about dogs, let alone touch a dog. They won't even want to have a stuffed animal type of dog around them. So the therapist first puts them in this situation where they are thinking about a dog. So let's say that the therapist says, okay, Johnny, okay, Sarah, let's have you think about the dog for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, okay? So they're going to have that person get used to this situation where they're thinking about the dog and they might increase the time that they're thinking about the dog for several times. Okay, so let's think about the next step. A person who has a severe phobia of dogs will not even want to look at a picture with a dog. So, therapist has a nice framed picture of Fido right here, and the person in, say, the therapist's office is going to be holding that picture of the dog and looking at it for a couple of seconds at a time. And then maybe the next time that they come in, they're going to increase that, so on and so forth. Okay, think about the next step. So they're able to think about dogs. They're able to look at a picture of a dog. What about watching dogs on TV? If somebody is truly, truly afraid of dogs, they are not going to want to look at dogs on TV. So I chose kind of a fun, easy one here. Maybe they watch a few seconds of Puppy Bowl and they increase those increments a little bit at a time. Okay, next step, stuffed animal of a dog. So, person is presented with a stuffed animal. Maybe they just look at it first on the table. Maybe then they're able to touch it, and maybe they're able to even put it on their lap. Okay? And finally, you'll have to get to the step where they're actually in the same real life bubble of actual dogs. Let's give them some nice puppies to touch and see first, okay? And eventually they are going to get to the point where they can actually be around dogs, pet dogs, and it isn't going to cause them that mountain of fear that they used to feel when they were around dogs. Okay, so that is going to end video lesson number 2 on anxiety disorders, which really just covered phobias. So here ends number 2.